Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are in studio with 2025 OCC champion Jim Walmsley. How are you doing, buddy?
Good, Devo. How are you?
Amazing. This is our second time recording a champion's interview in this very flat in the heart of Chamonix. Of course, after your 2023 victory at UTMB, now 2 out of 3. How does it feel?
This one was fun. I think after today, watching a lot of the UTMB stuff, it definitely reinforces. I prefer to line up for UTMB, but given my circumstances this year, it was really fun to be at OCC, to try something new, and to have a really big fight. It was exciting, but hard to be a part of.
I can't wait to hear all about it. I guess let's first start by just talking about your health journey. We'll all remember your amazing performance to start the year at Chianti, and then we were devastated to learn that you were going to be withdrawing from Western States after that. I mean, at Western States, I remember you saying to me, hey, I ran 10 miles today, and it was sort of like a victory. And then a couple weeks later, you did 30 miles with Ludo on the Hard Rock course, so there was good indications. So just share a little bit about that health journey. When did things start to turn around? How are you feeling now?
Yeah, so pretty much I was immediately banged up from Chianti. Sore from the race, but all winter long I had an injury with my pes anserine, like tendonitis sort of stuff. And so winter was always kind of a balance, but I was able to really train through it and show up really fit for Chianti. But I thought I was through it. I would say the last 2 to 3 weeks of March was pain-free running. So that was really good. I remember seeing you at Black Canyon and saying I hadn't announced I was doing Chianti yet. I had it in mind, but it had kind of been a step back that week. Ironically, when everyone's in town, I was pretty down and unmotivated because I was having a lot more pain than what I had been doing and felt like it took a couple steps back. But then it was forward from there. Chianti went good, but knee was super sore. So the pain is in the knee, but it's not necessarily the knee. But super sore from Chianti, but hoping things would just recover and get better, and more or less they didn't. We spent some time kind of planned relaxing after Chianti, staying in Europe and going back to Aresh a little bit, but still waiting for things to kind of get better. So time kind of started ticking by, and then had to finally start training for Western States. Kind of had weeks go boom, boom, boom. Things, I guess, hoping once I got to volume that maybe sometimes tendonitis stuff kind of can settle.
Counterintuitively.
Yeah. Tendons are just weird. And then finally I got to a really good volume. If I could have held it for 6 more weeks, it would have been good. I would have had a nice 8-week block, super confident, stoked, but got 2 weeks into the higher volume stuff and decided I was for sure pulling the plug. I was just in a lot of pain. It was getting worse, not better. So I was pulling the plug, and then this time, instead of winter, I just reset, but I had time. This one, I wanted to try being a bit more aggressive, so we tried a PRP injection with it. And then that mandates 2 weeks of 0-0, no cross train, no strength, everything off. So that was somewhere in the beginning of May. So that's what started my clock of when I could get back for things. And actually the first big rush to get back into things was just to be ready enough to run. Ludo had it kind of open how much to pace him. And Vincent was really intimidated by it's 2 weeks after Western States. Yep. He was like, I don't think I can do much. And I'm like, I don't think I can do 40 miles.
I'm injured. And meanwhile, Ludo's 50 years old.
And just putting us young guys in the hurt locker. So, yeah, he's making us sweat. And he's on fire. So, but that kind of definitely kept me honest, trying to get back, but a little aggressive side of coming back from PRP. It has its own, for the good, it has its own, recovery process to get back. And it's kind of the combination of everything that usually can have an effect if it does. And I would say so far it's had a very positive effect. I'm running with a lot less or zero pain most days. And things are really good. But unfortunately, I think I got it maybe a couple weeks or even 1 month. I would say at least 1 month too late to be able to line up at UTMB.
Okay.
And the biggest because after running with Ludo for 30 miles, like I was sore and I had to take off a couple days.
Yeah.
So the last thing to kind of come was getting in those long runs to build up strength and having to restart from zero instead of just have a race and roll into the next race. You don't have as much of a base. So for me, it was really important to start getting in 30, 40, almost 50 mile runs for training for UTMB is how I usually build up strength for myself. And that was not going to be in the cards early enough to then like be recovered confident for UTMB. But what was happening is I would get to projecting things, it would get to a decent enough volume and I could do workouts just fine. It was handling intensity well. So then the light bulb kind of goes off of, well, if intensity is going well and I can get in good volume, but not as much volume as I'd want and as early as I'd want, I can probably race.
But just race something
And then
else.
I'm on the US world team at the end of September in 1 month now. So it just kind of came, well, I can probably enter OCC. We'll see. We'll play around a bit with that. And then hopefully this one will be just another like long run progression for a 50 mile race. But we can discuss that a little bit. But from what I've heard, it's quite a unique 50 mile
How
race.
does that impact motivation though? Because when your name was on the UTMB list, when they finally published it, a lot of us had questions about, wow, is he actually going to start here? He did pace Ludo 30 miles. Maybe the training came around at just the right time. And then all of a sudden you bump down to OCC. And for me, and I think for a lot of trail fans, it was really exciting. For you, is it equally motivating? Because we've also done an analysis about UTMB index. And of course there is a debate about, whether or not short distance athletes there's a bias towards higher UTMB indexes just by volume of racing. But by UTMB index, OCC was potentially the most competitive race and the densest and deepest race of the week. So for you, I mean, is it motivating to be able to compete at a race like that also?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, at OCC, there were a lot of new faces to race and even familiarity with Adam Peterman, but first time actually racing Adam was super exciting for me. But I would say just knowing the quality of depth of the runners, despite being the OCC distance, I know lots of them or even follow a lot of the guys I hadn't raced before. So it kept me honest in training to very much make sure I'm getting in the workouts, not skipping workouts. I think that's something that I've started to go back to a lot more in the last year and a half, 2 years, and realizing it's a really effective way for me to train with a bit less volume, where when I was younger, I could do so much because I could just run and handle a lot more and I could get away being a lot sloppier in training. So I'd say I'm having to go back to being a little more disciplined with effectiveness with training.
Interesting. So how did the weather and the course adjustment impact you? Because I think that was one of the major stories going into OCC and really of all of UTMB week.
Yeah.
And I think for races of this stature, people who handle that uncertainty the best often end up performing better. Did it feel that way to you, or how did you interface with those question marks during race week?
I think for the question marks during race week, you just shrug your shoulders and it's not really something in my control. It's something that I'm really thankful of spending time in Europe, of getting used to how things work with the organizations that put on races and the adaptability that you have to have, especially in the Alps. Or if you see schema races, like the race courses are always getting announced the night before for the next day. And there'll be morning of adjustments, and then they'll keep them from going above a certain altitude because of weather changes. Like snow's a lot more complicated. But during the summer, I thought with their adjustments, so there was really hard weather for UTMB. Last night it was stormy a lot, but without a doubt, like Thursday was for OCC was projected the worst day by far. Yeah. And I thought they made really good adjustments to keep us lower in the valleys, and a delayed start to minimize risks I think people at the end of the race got caught in a pretty good storm, but then you look at the route and we finished in a flatter 10K and not going up La Flégère late, keeping a lot of the runners safe there. You're just lower in the valley and at less risk. So I thought they did a really good job with their call and adjustments, but overall, I think spending more time in Europe has really helped letting things slide off your shoulder and not worry about it and just rolling with the punches and just show up when you need to show up with hopefully your bib and then just go and try your hardest. So
Yeah, it did seem like they threaded the needle fairly well there with the timing and the course design, as you said. So bring us into the battle. Starting from the beginning, it was you, Petter, Rui Ueda, Sam Hendry.
Yeah.
And what I'd love to hear you talk about is the water incident in Martigny. As we were watching the live stream, you ran straight through Champex, didn't fill up your bottles there. And then as you said in your post-race interview, there was no water in Martigny. And of course, as we looked at the course profile, and I would love to get your perspective on this too, obviously that massive climb out of Martigny was probably the crux of the race, probably a place where you viewed as your opportunity to get some separation. So how did you feel about things strategically? What was the dynamic in the pack, and especially what was the water situation?
So I guess the game plan going in was wait till the climb in Triant. I think in retrospect, Petter and I played.
Which is halfway up
So it's the third climb, really. There's the first climb from Orsières up to Champex. It's about 8K, 5 miles. So Petter and I both beat the fastest climbs from Remy and Christian Allen last year, who are Golden Trail fast guys.
Wow.
We're 40 seconds maybe faster than their times.
Damn.
So, and that kind of, we were just us at the top. And then I think as we settled in at the top, Sam Hendry caught us. And then on the descent is when Rui caught us. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty early in the descent. I had the ankle roll incident, actually. So I think I stopped pushing the pace as much and just settled back into place while I tried to recover and assess where things were at with my ankle and if I felt comfortable running on it and stuff, because it hurt quite a bit, but it ended up being fine to continue and no issues the rest of the race, but just need a bit more concentration. Plan was to go through Champex. Didn't need water by then. Started with 1 liter. On the course map of the adjustments, they put out a topograph thing and where water was going to be. So there was water in Martigny. I made the game plan that I was going to fill up 1.5 liter bottle there. We ran through, Petter and I ran through, and then we start climbing, and for sure we're like, you see Martigny below us, and it's like, I thought there was for sure water at that. And he goes, I thought there was supposed to be water there too.
So was there an aid station there, or there was no aid station?
Since UTMB has said we ran too fast through the aid station and we didn't see it. But from what I've heard, they called a trickling fountain, which I heard was completely too slow to fill up bottles quickly, is what they marked as an official water aid station.
And the women said the same thing.
From my understanding right now. So it was a joke of an aid station. They didn't have official, UTMB brought nothing in for water for athletes to fill up from a hose or anything quick or a big jug thing. A lot of times at UTMB, there'll be a big jug and you have a release valve and you can fill up your bottle really easy, or it'll have a hose connect, like Triant has a hose connected and there's 10 faucets. Right. And it's super easy to, for many athletes to fill up at once. They're saying, you guys ran too fast. It's your fault. You didn't stop for water. I still think it's a lame excuse, and I think it's their fault. And I don't think it's acceptable at a level that UTMB operates at to have their final have a crappy water station like that.
Just to add something here, the women also said this too, Joylene and Yao Miao, and there was footage of them finding a hose bib like halfway up the climb where they filled their water bottles up. But I also want to say, you just gave the organization credit for the course adjustments and the way they delayed the start. So you did give them kudos in the places
nailed that
where,
part, for sure.
Yeah. So
I think phenomenal call on everything.
Yeah.
Just my own personal frustration with things. Cause then we went 2.5 hours before we hit Triant to fill up with water, which we were still early to that. So we would have been like 2:45 if we were on their fastest splits.
Yeah.
Trion aid station was great. It's set up for all the races. So Trion styled.
Yeah. All right, so let's pick up there. I just wanted to interject that because it's, just to ensure that people understand you to being an objective person who can both call balls and strikes and say, recognize when things are done positively and also when things need to be done better. And this was a last minute adjustment.
That's my understanding, that it was just a fountain. So perhaps there was more, but from my understanding since the race, that's what I've heard it was. And I still think it's not up to the standard it should be.
Sure. Okay. So coming out of Trient, you had about 2 minutes on the chase pack who was behind you.
Well, I guess Martina was the first exciting climb. I wasn't supposed to climb, but you start feeling other athletes, and all of a sudden, Petter starts. I could feel I could get some time on Petter, and I wanted to keep a tempo, but up Martina, I really started to feel that we went too hard on the first climb, and looking at gaps and stuff, like we really went too hard. So we both started suffering. So Martina went into trying to get time on Petter, but also a bit of my own damage control, for sure. And then once you go to, it's a over 3,000 foot climb, and then you get a little dip in the Triant, and then you have another like 3,000, 3,500 foot climb almost pretty quickly after. So the biggest difference in this course was it wasn't up, down, up, down, up, down. It was up, down, up, down, flat.
Yeah.
But overall, the numbers worked out very similar for vertical, and then a couple more kilometers on distance. But so then the climb from Triant up to Col de la Baume, pretty much just suffering up this. Luckily in a cloud, because I think Christian and other athletes probably could have looked up and seen me. And luckily I was kind of hiding, I think, in the fog a bit. Maybe they would have been more motivated. And then I heard different splits here and there.
I was going to ask you that.
I was a bit more confident on having a little more gap. I was not getting expected that someone was close enough to close anything in Argentière.
So there was footage of you as you were climbing up to Col de la Baume, looking backwards and down the hill. In all likelihood, you know, from our perspective, probably looking for who was chasing behind you. And at that point,
so
when the camera picked it up, it was the double Christians, Christian Jones and Christian Minogue, which was the first time any of us had seen them. So you are saying that you effectively had no awareness.
So so going up Col de la Baume, I saw white vest, white hat, and but I knew it wasn't Petter. So I didn't know it was a spectator, because last I saw I was with Petter, and I heard Petter was behind me. Then Rui, and at the time, actually, I didn't know it was Sam Hendry. So I didn't recognize him running with him.
Yeah.
But I definitely know who he is, the name and stuff. But I think it's the first time we've maybe raced each other. Mm-hmm. So really impressed by him and his first climb descent stuff.
Yeah.
But I was expecting someone that I was last seen with potentially behind me, and it was a surprise. I guess now I know that who I was looking at was Christian from Italy, and it was his Fuga kit, and I didn't recognize. So I didn't recognize who it was. Plus, you can always chalk it up to like
maybe it's a spectator
or someone you don't know is in the race or not. So you're never 100%, but now I know for sure.
So from Christian. A viewer's perspective,
and I never knew anything about Chris Jones going. I heard a lot about his race and saw the splits since, and he was absolutely closing. So he had a very exciting race of his own. But lucky for me, it didn't play into my experience during the course.
Yeah. So from a viewer's perspective,
you guys could see him hunting.
Yeah, well, and it did feel like, well, maybe Jim's vulnerable here because, you know, we hadn't seen Christian Minogue or Christian Jones up to that point in the race, and all of a sudden they're only 70 seconds back, meaning they made up a couple of minutes on you from Trient to the top of Col de Baume. But then, of course, it's like, okay, it's a half marathon, sort of fast descent, sort of Jim Walmsley territory. Fast forwarding to Argentière, absolute mayhem occurs. You can't fill up your water bottle again. Whoa. And the white blur comes past. And again, we weren't able to see this on the live stream. So I'd love to get your side of the story.
Yeah. So from this, I think in racing, I've actually really appreciated splits in French rather than in English, because the numbers are a lot more distinguishable. So an example is 1 minute 15. sounds a lot like 1 minute 50. And I was thinking something more like 150, because then I thought I heard a split from someone I knew really well of 3 minutes going up Martini. So I was like, for sure it has to only be 150, like no one close to 2 minutes. And then now in retrospect, it was 115 for sure. But that's a difference of cans or 50. So they sound a lot different in French, and this was a thing in Nice as well, actually, because I mixed 13 and 30 from a friend, and I was like, 13 or 30, and he's like, 13. I'm like, oh shit. And so yeah, light bulbs go off when you realize it's not a 0 on the end, it's a teen. So Christian found out, I mean, I've learned a lot more about him since like, who is this guy? How did he do this? Where did he come from? All sorts of things.
I think a lot of people are feeling the same way.
Sky running world champ, and descended like it, and absolutely took time out of everyone on the final descent, and basically caught me full speed at the bottom and blew right past me. So I got into Argentière. All I needed was water. I had powder in my bottle, and I was just looking to fill up. I think there was maybe one lady at the aid station. I say, water, water, water. She walks away. I'm by myself. I see cola. I see sparkling water. I see probably NACA's nutrition is on the course, or whatever they have. And I'm like, I'm not filling up with sports nutrition
just
or cola.
Just give me some bleeping still water.
I went for the sparkling water. And then so I leave the aid station. I'm filling it up as he runs by. It's all fine. We got to fight now. Like, oh crap. But so I left, and I see Scott Jurek, and I see a few people, and they're 20 seconds. I hear a lot of 20 seconds. So at least I'm in the position where I'm getting the numbers, and person out front has no clue now. Oh. So, but 20 seconds very quickly became 40 seconds, became 1 minute, became 2 minute stuff of like, what do you mean 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And I don't even know if he legitimately ever hit full 2 minutes ahead of me, but just flying. And in the meantime, I have this terrible, like, never second plus sparkling water is terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. And so at 31 miles, I start throwing up everything. The sparkling stuff did not sit, and I threw it all up, and was walking for a good, I mean, it feels like 30 seconds. It's probably 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But took a couple steps to walk of like, I think that's it. I threw up twice. And then I'm sure someone out there has video. But then I started getting back into it, and I knew there was one more, about 700-foot climb, not too complicated, with a technical descent though. And then flat for
3 miles,
3 to 5K. Yeah. And it was just, I started to feel better by the little bump, and I was able to squeeze it pretty good. And I think I got at least a minute back on that. Yeah. And I was lucky that I had a busy Wednesday with all UTMB stuff, and I didn't get out for my shakeout run until around 2:30 or 3, but the course had been announced. So I decided to check out the end of the course. So I knew the technical descent, I knew the flat finish, and remembered it quite well. So that really played into my hand to be able to attack the bump and gain a lot of time on that, because I think it was probably a surprise for a lot of people.
This is what I want to spend some time on, because I think this is what makes you special. Of like, you clicked back into miracle gym mode, never gave up, killer instinct galore. And on the live stream, when you're chasing him down, you could feel it was 100% certainty you were going to catch him. Where does that come from in your soul? Like, did you feel that level of confidence, or do you ever lose the belief that you're out of the fight?
I think with 1 minute to go, I felt out of the fight. But then I knew it was still 6K or 8K to go to the finish. I'm like, well, I can't like just jog it in now. I can't just, it's like, well, I feel terrible. This race was really, really hard. Yeah. I don't know where third place is still. No clue who's behind me or how close. I'm like, where are the rest of them? Yeah. And so it's like, well, I have to move just to stay in second, because I'll take second over third for sure. And then things started to come back. And when it went, I mean, the time dropped so quick. There wasn't much thinking about it. And then before I knew it, I was dropping low 5 and the train was going. And I don't know where it was because I didn't have a sip of the sparkling water again. I was out of gels for the last 2 hours of the race because I didn't have water
like half
early.
A liter of water the entire race.
No, but I didn't have enough water, so I wasn't digesting things very well. But I ate a lot of my gels early because I didn't have water to mix, and I just had pre-filled powder, so I can't eat the powder. So I had mostly gels early and then tried to get bottles where I could.
But you have this will to win, and it's reminiscent of your UTMB victory too, when Zach got away from you and then Jerma came up from behind, and then all of a sudden something in your brain, in your body switches, and you're back in race mode. I mean, it's also like last year's Western States. Rod was sort of getting away from you, putting the pressure on you. And then at some point it's like, no, this is my race. I'm going to win. And you somehow will yourself to a new level.
It was really interesting watching the women's UTMB this year because I think the situation was identical for Courtney that I was in 2023 of someone got away, Ruth got away, gone, not catching her. Someone else catches you climbing up to Champé Lock. And they passed you going into the aid station, and that was identical too. But so today for Courtney, I was thinking she has to latch on to Camille of you got to get out there because that would have been my Germain. And then that reignited, like, boom, we're off and something changes. And now you have to see. I mean, you still have 30 miles there. And it's like, well, you can't just phone it in and jog it. And it doesn't lessen any pain. So you might as well try. And only you know inside how much you do try.
But this is what separates the good athletes from the great athletes. And we talked to Rod Farvard about you in the pre-race interview with him, not specifically about you, but we were talking about HOKA team camp and like what rubs off on you guys while you're all together. And one of the things he said about you is that you're just like always game to fight, you know, like he talked about you stepping into that VK and taking that bib, and it's like, you know, you're always eager to...
It's been an ethos I've learned a lot from being in Arash. Because I've had neighbors literally knock on my door and say, hey, there's an uphill race at 2, you got to be there. I'm like, I feel awful. There's no way. Like, I just did 50K yesterday. And then sure enough, like, you put a bib on and you're racing your neighbors in Arash. And these are guys that like take Strava segments from me all the time and are super, super fast. Most of them are skimo guys and not even like always trail runners, but they can climb a segment just as fast as me.
So where does this one rank for you? Because when you cross the finish line, in all the times I've seen you win races, I can't recall that type of emotion. Like, it felt like relief. Okay, I'm back. I'm clearly fit. My knee is handling this. I just won a humongous race. You went straight into the arms of your boy Simon Dug real quick, and then Jess right afterwards. But to me, it felt like you were revealing something that you don't often see when you're crossing the finish line in first. Like, it felt like it was a powerful moment for you.
This one felt like just a cheeky race to enter, and I just got away with a little magic trick out of it because I don't think people expect the UTMB, like a UTMB champ, to come down and beat up on the fast kids. I like taking pride in that, and I like that maybe the index scores of the 100-mile are pretty equivalent to something shorter just because you think you train faster or run faster or do a 5K and blah, blah. Like, given the scenario, let's play a different game and see how it rolls. So it's fun. It's why I like sometimes I've entered some road races in my career. I've entered vertical. I don't win all the verticals, and especially on skis too. I'll do vertical races and I don't usually win them. But it's fun. It gives you the competition vibes. And I think the more I've done it, the more I'm liking it. And I really have grown on this. All I can do is just try my hardest. And luckily for me, that at this moment, it's putting me really competitive and I'm winning things. But I also know that's not forever and it's short term. So how can I want to be a lifelong runner, but how do I keep motivation? And it just goes to just try your hardest and who cares? And even throughout my career, as I get older I'm not always going to win OCC, UTMB, Western States, but it doesn't mean I want to step away from the races completely. I think some of the older athletes tend to feel like they have to. Like part of me just wants to keep trying. And I think that can also be a really moving, powerful story to just see people's idols that once were on top. You're not on, or even Pau Capel and TDS, he's just out there competing, doing his thing. Like it's really cool to see a peer like that of, I don't think he's putting in as much priority to be at the top, because I think he would be with me in stride for stride, but he's still out there enjoying being a part of it and doing it, and still, I mean, finishing really high, and he's a great runner. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of staying motivated, we can sort of touch on a couple of things before we wind down. You're one of 7 people to now win 2 out of the 3 world finals. Ruth Croft just got the Triple Crown. Obviously, Xavier's got it too, but then John Albin, Blandine Herndel, Tony McCann, Yao Miao, Francesco Pupi got it this weekend too. Tom got it this weekend too. Does CCC interest you at all? Or, I mean, as you started the conversation here, you said, I prefer to be at UTMB, but that's also a fun storyline. And I think for an athlete of your character, maybe it would be motivating.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe CCC is the perfect middle spot for me, but I really like how UTMB challenges me. And I really like that for me, in my perspective, UTMB is the table I want to sit at. It's the table I want to fight, and it looks miserably awesome to be a part of from the sidelines. And I missed being a part of the fight for this race. And it's hard to not be out there. Essentially, like the top 10 are really, like, I feel bonded to so many of these runners because of our experiences and pushing each other and going through hard things together.
Yeah.
That like to see Tom persevere is so great, but at the same time, like I know this feeling, and it fires me up as well. And for me, I think UTMB is still the fire, and CCC is someone else's goal. It's not necessarily my goal to add CCC at this point. Perhaps the idea will grow on me a bit more, but I guess now I have 2 out of 3, so it is an option, but I don't have to feel like I need to force that if I want to be competing for more UTMBs.
Yeah. Well, one thing you also have is a World Championship gold medal. Next up is going to be the long course in Confranc for you. Team USA is nails this year. It seems like Jim Walmsley's body and mind is in a special situation where it's not out of the realm of possibility that you'll be competing for another medal there in Confranc.
I think I'm fit. So I'm excited. I feel like strength-wise, I'm still building. I think late in OCC, I was just knocking my head mentally of just like, I need more strength. I need more strength. I need to get in these long, slow runs. So hopefully I'll be feeling good in about a week and be able to get back to business. And I like bouncing back from races. It hasn't been it's not like 10 years ago, I guess. But 2019, I won the marathon distance, short trail now, before it was all combined in Argentina, which was super cool. So it'll be a big rematch with Francesco because we took first, second. And that was a race where Francesco was completely biting on my heels all race. Yeah. He passed me at some point, I think 2, or at least caught me. Super surprised, and I could never drop him. He was always a shadow like that I could see.
There's no hotter athlete in the sport right now either.
Yeah, he's running superb. Yeah. So, but I was really excited. I saw him 3K from the finish, and I think I'm probably the first one to tell him the split that he had at La Flagère at the top. And like he had 11 minutes and no pressure, enjoy the finish. Like, so hopefully he did. But I was really excited to run out to the trail to go cheer him on and be super stoked for him. So it's cool sharing like a similar brand and getting to do athlete camps, but also Poopy's come to the US so many times over the last few years that he's like shown a big interest in things, and it's been really cool. But from what I hear, it's 78K, but hyper extreme technical is what I've seen or what I've heard. I haven't seen things on it, but I'm actually expecting a bit of a shakeup, I think, with things. I from what I've heard, I actually wouldn't count myself as the favorite. I think I'll be strong. I think I'll be in contention of a really good place. I think I'll be up there and fighting and hard to drop. But from what I've heard with the technicality, it actually could favor some surprisingly strong younger runners.
Christian Minogio from Italy, not a younger runner, but
I mean,
double skyrunning world
he's
champ.
got over a 9-hour win this year. So he's done some of the distance, and he reminds me of an old Skimo guy from Arash in the same way. He's just super hardened by the mountains. And he's tough and he's fit. So, but there's a couple of young French guys, probably some Spanish guys. It's an extremely exciting distance and event to line up on, and I'm gonna have absolutely my hands full at best. I'm excited to race Caleb Olsen, being the reigning Western States champ, and just ran that incredibly impressive and phenomenal. So it's exciting. Rematch with Adam, who was only a couple minutes behind me in reality.
Teammates and competitors.
OCC. So it's a huge fight. I think from now till then, my decisions and training need to be, I guess I have a little more time to relax and recover, but I need to really make some steps forward from where I'm at, I would say. But I'll get there a couple weeks early. I think I'm actually staying with Adam and Aaron and Jess, and maybe Helen Faulkner. We're going to get there early enough to go see a bunch of the course. So I'll save some of the strength training for when I arrive so I can do a couple long runs and see things. But kind of expecting some surprisingly, perspectives of seeing the course. So we'll see.
Sweet.
And then after that, I think it's just reassessment, just like OCC. So OCC so far, knee feels good. Body is a bit beat up, but
and the spill normal. On the last turn didn't
the little
put
tile,
you on the shelf.
That one was probably the least impactful, I would say, from what I can tell right now. There was a fence accidentally pushed over on me that hit my shin, so that's pretty big welt swelling that happened after the finish line. So just within the finish line, within sight of the finish line, I almost am getting DNF'd right there. So, but I think things should recover well for racing one more time in a month, and for what seems to be like almost a 10-hour, 50-mile race, actually. 10-hour, 50-mile race. Yeah.
Well, Jim, congrats on OCC.
Thanks.
Another victory here in Chamonix. Thanks for coming to the studio.
It was too exciting. But I think I was telling you earlier that I think I have maybe more war stories from this one OCC than most of my UTMBs combined.
Well, thanks for sharing the war stories, buddy, and congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
Cheers.